Oh, thank
It
you.
looks like Indian kind
No,
of
no, no. This is
tattoo.
Senegalese. This is straight African.
No, I know it is, but you know what I mean? The patterns and stuff. I feel like I want to put it on my back or something, a tattoo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Well,
have a huge like Polynesian tattoo on my back, so
oh,
it's
do you?
like, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, everybody. We are back live again. I have Miss Helen on with us. That's a very. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do Ethiopians have these European first names? So European.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess we could start with. I remember you and the Habesha guy were talking about how we were the first Christians to, I guess, build the church. But in reality, it's more of adaptation. We adapted to the Christian religion first, which is Orthodox, right? It
Uh-huh.
means the right. So a lot of our names are going to be Christian. So that,
Oh, okay. So Helen from the
yeah,
Bible.
exactly. Saint Eleni, Saint Helen, the woman who found the cross.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So Helen is, but it's still very English, right? Or the
Well, it comes
name.
from the Bible. Yeah, it's Helen is like Ellen, Eleni. It's all the same context.
Okay.
It's just kind of, yeah.
So how would you say it in Ethiopia? What's the name? I'm sorry.
Like, yeah, you'd say in Tigrinya, that's the language I speak, or in, I guess, Eritrean, or whatever. You'd say Helen. So it's that kind of accent that you use. It's Helen, just Helen, really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is another question. So the whole race identity thing, it's like two parts to this.
Yeah.
So I remember one day I was researching Ethiopia because I'm going to be going there next year.
Okay. Woo,
And
nice.
so people were bringing up how they take this cruise. It's like a 4 or 5 day cruise, safari expedition to a place called the Omo River Valley.
Okay. Yes. I
And
know
I
people here.
saw jet black,
Hmm.
dark skin.
Yes.
I would consider maybe Bantu. I don't
Yep.
know.
Good job. Good job. No, you're
Okay,
good. Yeah.
Ethiopian.
Yeah.
That, from my understanding, have been there thousands of years and still
Thousands.
live like they've been there thousands of years.
Yes,
But
sir.
then the face of Ethiopia is someone like yourself, Habisha, correct?
Thank you. Habesha. Yeah.
Habisha,
Yeah.
lighter skin,
Yeah.
mixed, from what
Hmm.
I've been told, mixed with Yemen. Am I right?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll get to that. Yeah.
That's the face of Ethiopia.
Yes.
So who was in Ethiopia first? The Omo Valley Ethiopians or the mixed, in quotation marks for right now,
Yeah.
mixed race, or are the Ethiopians the Omo Valley, like indigenous Ethiopians mixed with the Arab? Like what's going on?
Like how? Yeah. Like, are we the offsprings or something? Right.
Right, right,
That's
right.
the question. Like, that's how I used to think back home, and I guess let me just start with a lot of people from back home. We don't know our history. We don't know anything about like a lot of things. I can ask my grandma and my mom. They won't know anything. Okay, and then to answer your question, yes, they were there first before my ancestors ever migrated to East Africa. So those people in Wakanda you saw with the plates in their lips, they're called Mercy people. There's
Right.
different types of people with those plates in their they are indigenous Ethiopians, right? So they were there thousands of years before my ancestors migrated. So
At least you're honest, because some Ethiopians they'll get pissed off when you say that.
no, they're so stupid because they don't know anything. They don't read their history. It's simple as Google. Like Google your history. Google. Just think about like why are we so different? It's just that question that you have in your head, you know. So
Okay. Now, so then why are the Habesha
the
Ethiopian
face.
like the
Yeah,
face of
yeah.
like
Let me
no
even
question.
give you some facts. We are 27% of the population. Only 27%. That's the Amhara. And then the Tigrinya, the Amhara and Tigrinya, they're basically the same ethnic group, but they have a different dialect in terms of the language. Literally the same alphabets. It's just the way we speak it. So those people, we're only 27%, or I guess adding six would make it, what is that? Yeah, that's 33. I can't do it.
26 plus 6, you said?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. 27.
27 plus 6.
But 27% is the Amhara, and then Tigrinya. They're mainly in Eritrea, though. That's why
Okay.
there are only 6% of them.
Okay, so
But they're
that's
mainly the same group. Yeah, they're under the Habesha group, basically. So the reason, and it's only 27% the Amhara, and how is that possible, right? That's because they migrated and took over. In Ethiopia, slavery only ended in 1942. Haile Selassie only about, yeah,
slavery.
1942.
Right, but slavery of who? Like who was being traded?
Oh, they were the people who are my ancestors that migrated from Middle East
Uh-huh.
have taken over. So you have to understand, before Europeans ever started slavery, it was the Arabs.
Right.
It was us first, and then it was like they were doing it centuries before Europeans ever hopped onto the slave trade, right?
Mhm.
So my ancestors were doing this for centuries. It was like, if any Eritrean or Ethiopian can tell you, having a maid is huge back home. I had a maid back home. I'm not born here. I was born back in Eritrea. I moved from Eritrea when I was 8, and then lived in Ethiopia when I was like for like a year and a half, and then moved here. So it's just the culture that they have. It's and also they're basically enslaving the Mercy people, the southern. So they live in the south. Those dark skinned people you saw, they live in the south of Ethiopia. Habesha people live on the north side of Ethiopia. So my uncle actually told me, I told him 1942. He said, no, actually, even though it stopped, I was riding one day in 1988, riding my car, and I saw a whole bunch of African children with a Habesha man, and he was selling them. And he asked him, what are you doing with them? He's like, sell them. Like, yeah,
Oh.
so,
So
yeah.
where does the
Sorry, I'm
habit
talking so much.
so where does the habit should come from? Like what are the roots?
Okay,
What
so
is
I
the
want to
habit?
start,
There we go.
yeah. So I want to start with when I was younger, I had no idea what the Habesha meant. There were so many different, uh, um, I guess, descriptions, or even what is the word I'm looking for? Answers for that word. They'd say burnt face. They'd say uh, ants and gatherers, or whatever, whatever. So from my research, Habesha people were basically that lived in Yemen, and basically they were incense gatherers, and basically moved into East Africa, and they made their way around the world. Um, so they were mainly called the incense gatherers. That was the Habesha. That was the term they used for Habesha people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So they were kind of nomads.
Basically, yes. And then until they settled into East Africa. Yeah.
But they originated from the Middle East.
Yes, sir. And when I did my DNA test, so I wanted to basically, I like facts. I don't
Right.
have personal feelings, right? So I
Right.
actually did my own DNA test, and it said exactly what I have been researching. And it said we, our ancestors migrated from Middle East, blah, blah, blah. But you have to understand, there's Bantu people in Ethiopia, there is Cushitic people, there is Semitic people, which is my people, basically my ancestors. And those are mainly the people of face of Ethiopia, because they have taken over. It's colonization, you know? It happens in Africa. It's a continent, right? So people migrate, take over. That's what happens. North Africa, that's what happened in North Africa.
So here's the $1,000,000 question. How do you identify as far as race wise?
I don't identify white. I don't identify black. I don't identify. I'd like to just identify as a human being. But if we're talking about, okay, you know what, Helen, you have to choose, then I'm going to identify as what the scientific terms have been, labeled as. I guess I would like to ask you, what is being black? Is it genetics? Is it cultural? Is it history? What is being black?
Skin color, personally,
But,
race, identity.
yep,
Okay, I would
yep.
say this. I would say this. Being black, if you want to break it down, is of being or claiming to be of African origin. When we say African, I would say indigenous African. I guess. See, not all black people are Bantu. You have Kushites, you have even Semitic people. I would say indigenous African. If you're African, indigenous African, and you're black.
Okay. Okay. It's basically genetics, you're saying.
Right, genetics.
Yeah. So it's genetics over culture, because my brother will argue, okay, it's culture. That to me, I will join black people because I like their culture. He comes home to a different culture, right? But when he goes outside, it's a whole different culture for him. So that's what he likes to identify as. So for you, it's genetics, who is basically someone, yeah.
It's genetics because if you're black but you try to be white, you're still black, even though you enjoy, a culture that's not black, maybe whether it be white, Asian, Chinese, or whatnot. So, that's just how I feel. Like you can't escape your blackness, no
Hmm.
matter what culture you enjoy or what culture you, participate in. You cannot escape your blackness. That's with you.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. Um, and when you were saying how there's indigenous Semitics, to me, there were the indigenous Africans, right? So most African Americans who are in, go ahead, were you gonna say something?
Oh, well, okay, so Semitic is a term to describe people from the, I guess, Middle East, correct?
It basically, it has to do with one language. It has to do with genetics also. They link people with genetics. It's basically in scientific uh, racial classifications, scientific, right? Like even genetics wise, not like, oh, you're black because of your skin color, not like that. Like genetics has nothing to do with skin color. To me, skin color is very irrelevant. My brother's darker than you. Indians are darker than you. There are Spanish, whatever, so many types of people with dark skin. To me, skin color is so irrelevant unless you're South Sudanese. Those people have the richest dark skin, so beautiful, you know what I mean? Those are different types of people. They actually have their own classification. So in terms of genetics, they actually classify Ethiopians a part of the Semitic and the Habasha, right? Not the
Right.
Ethiopian. So Semitics are classified under the Caucasian race. Caucasian does not mean white. It is just a classification of people who have the same skull, similar DNA, similar migration, and similar origins, basically, right? So, Aryan race is mostly created for people who are European origin, right?
Right.
So, I guess in North America, everything has been like turned upside down, where Caucasian means white now. It's because people are so not educated with anything. It's like they don't want to use the right terms. It's just like gay, how gay is now used for gay people, but really it meant happy back in the day. You know what I mean? So,
Okay, got you.
so I'm
Got
saying people just change up. Yeah.
So you classify yourself as Caucasian.
If you're talking about in reality, in terms of genetics, we are classified under the Semitic, and Semitic is under the Caucasian race because of DNA origin and also similar skull structures. So I'm not a typical Habesha person. I actually in church they call me Tefnaq, which is basically flat faced or Asian. That's what we call Asian people. We call them Tefnaq, and because I have very like I guess small nose, and it's usually Ethiopian Habesha people. They have very slim nose and very sharp features, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's like that's how they kind of classify people with race. But in North America, it doesn't work like that.
So somebody in the chat room says Semitic languages from Africa: Hamitic, Afro-Asiatic, Cushitic, Semitic. Um,
Okay, what? Does he even know what the hell those means? He's literally putting in a whole bunch of words all together. Okay, so all Afro-Asiatic languages are Arab. It's hold on, something happened. Arab. It also includes Ge'ez, which is my language. It includes Hebrew. Um, Hamitans are also part of the Caucasian race. Honestly, all you have to do is a simple Google, and write down Semitic, and you'll find out. Like, I really don't know what he's asking though.
okay. So what about, I guess, Ethiopians that consider themselves black?
Well, the thing is, like I said, a lot of Habesha people are not even educated themselves because there has been long war over in Ethiopia, Eritrea. So there hasn't been a lot of studies happening recently. Just now, even 23andMe gave out free kits. Those are 200 some dollars worth, right?
Uh-huh.
Free kits just to find out our DNA.
Right.
And if they're Americanized, then forget it. They're definitely not even going to research on it. They're definitely not going to accept anything because they grew up with this mentality of being black in America because they have darker skin. So of course I'm black. I come from Africa, of course. Like Africa's a country, like it makes no sense.
Continent. Okay.
Yeah.
What? Let's get to the Jewish thing, like the Hebrew, like the
Falasha?
say it one more time.
Ethiopian falasha.
Philosophy. Yeah,
Yeah.
the philosophy thing.
Yeah.
Like, can you break that down a little bit? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I do. So they do have Jewish in their DNA. They're a mixture of us as well. They just have they're also like I've looked into their DNA and definitely they're similar to us, but they also have Jewish DNA, so I can understand them wanting to kind of assimilate themselves in the Jewish community, but I still don't understand them. I don't get it. When my parents migrated, we were literally the first people, maybe let's say 100 people who migrated from Eritrea to kind of get away this lifestyle, so everybody, well, they actually migrated in 1988. So it happened a long time ago. I understand you want to migrate into some place
Now,
that you
question. Let
feel.
me write this up. Now, isn't Jewish a religion? Or
Oh no, so Jewish is a religion. Is also classifies people as uh, like as in okay. Let's just explain it like this. I'm Tigrinya, right?
Mhm.
But I also speak Tigrinya. That's my tribe. So some people you can use they use names for as a language and also as a description for people. Jewish people have been Jewish for centuries, all their lives. You know what I mean? There's obviously no question about that. But I guess Judaism is a religion, but also it describes the people. Just like how I'm a Tigrinya woman, but I also speak Tigrinya. It's weird. Like Amhara people, but they also speak Amharic. It's just a weird thing that I don't know.
So, are you and the white Jews, like the Ashkenazi, are you guys the same?
No, no, definitely not.
So, how are they
As
so easily to be accepted as Jews, but how Falasha's not?
those people have their own thing. So I'm not a part of Ethiopian Falasha. They literally are a different DNA compared to us. So yes, they have just like Oromo people are a mixture of us. They're a mixture of West African Bantu, and they're also a mixture of Somali. So Falasha people are a mixture of Jews, us, and also Bantu people. Um, we've been there for centuries, so there are going to be a separate group from us that kind of look like us but have a different DNA. So they want to assimilate because they feel like their ancestors come from them, or they've had this, I don't know, I guess um, uh, they feel belonged. I don't know, but I don't identify with them. We're definitely different people. I don't have Jewish DNA. I don't. So
Okay.
and most of them don't. Actually, I want to say something. The Ethiopian famine that people always bring up. Oh, didn't you guys go through famine? It was them. It was that Ethiopian Falasha people. They went through famine because they wanted to basically get away from Ethiopia. They wanted to go over to Israel, and there was just obviously there's a long story behind it, but it was them. It wasn't even the rest of Ethiopia or the Habasha people. It was them basically that went through the famine, and there are the picture of Ethiopian famine, in 1988, basically.
Oh, so you're saying the famine was kind of a choice, kind of.
Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. I'm saying it happened to them. I'm saying it didn't happen to, because everybody always says, "Oh, didn't Ethiopians go through famine?" No, it happened to a certain group of people in Ethiopia. That's all I'm saying. But obviously there's a long story as to what happened to them, what went on. Obviously UN was supposed to be there to help and stuff, and it didn't happen. I have to still do a research on. I don't want to say things that I don't know. I still, so yeah.
Okay, now how do you guys feel? How do Ethiopians really feel about like the indigenous Ethiopians in the Omo River Valley and the
Yeah,
Bach?
and thank you for asking that, because it's funny how they will preach, "Oh, I'm black," but then they don't know anything about their history, because back home they're treated so different. They're treated less. There are even there was a woman who won the Miss Ethiopia back home, and she was indigenous Ethiopian, and they were like, "No, she can't be the face of Ethiopia. It's not us." You know what I mean? And also the whole slavery thing. How do Rastafarians follow a man that only abolished slavery in 1942?
Well, okay, I was gonna get to that, Haile Selassie, but go ahead and finish. We gotta.
Yeah,
That might need to be
yeah,
a separate show,
yeah,
but go ahead and finish.
yeah. So it's like they treat them differently, look at them differently. Honestly, when I lived back home, I knew I knew there were different types of people. I knew that there were my people. I didn't even when I came to Canada, there was this little Sudanese boy. I had a whole bunch of basically I went to a multicultural school, so I had different types of friends. Sudanese boy, he was my friend's friend, little brother. He asked me, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "Where you're from? I'm from Africa." And he's like, "No, you're not. You're not African." I was looking at him like, "Why can't I be from Africa? It's a freaking continent. Like, I don't understand that. Like, uh, so it's like people just have this I don't know. I felt so different, and that's when I started questioning things like, who am I? Like, why are people so different here? Why do people treat each other so different? I don't understand it. Because back home, it doesn't. Yes, we look at each other different, but we don't talk about it like that. That's why there isn't that much education.
All right, so the question, appreciate the Akitunde for the super chat. Dream Chaser, thank you for the super chat. What do you think about what do you think about how Ethiopians are treated in Israel? They are classified as black according to the white Jews.
Yep.
Uh, Measuring people according to DNA is not applicable. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I would say, honestly, someone can call me black right now. That doesn't mean they're right. I've been called Indian. I've been called Coolie. I've been called freaking Filipino. I've been called so many things, but I'm not. So whatever people classify you as, that doesn't mean they have the education on knowing who you are really. And on top of that, they have Jewish people. Come on, like what did they go through? They went through so much with Germany and Hitler. So do you think they're gonna come out right? They obviously are gonna come out like, no, we want to segregate ourselves, because obviously that's the mentality that they have. And like we need to just stop being so sensitive with people. Like people don't want people in their country. Why are you there? Move the fuck out. Like why do you want to be in a country where people don't? They implemented the same rules on Palestinians, Yemenis, everybody. They don't want no one in their country. You know what I mean? So to me, I don't care if they're calling them black, blue, orange. I don't care, because they're not right, right? And on top of that, they're saying DNA, Jewish DNA is not, or the Ethiopian Falasha, their DNA is not applicable. Please just do a little bit more research, because it's literally there.
Okay.
Literally, it's, you know?
Now, I've studied this myself, and some people are saying in the chat room, the original people in that area were black. What are your thoughts about that? About that?
Which area?
Uh,
In Israel?
Israel,
No.
Saudi
You
Arabia.
want, I might sound a little aggressive if
Go
I
ahead.
say this,
Go ahead.
but to me, a lot of black people in America are very confused about themselves. They want to just claim a lot of people. Your ancestors are from West Africa. Just accept it. Accept their culture. Why do you want to go somewhere else and say you are this and that, or I was there first? No, like your ancestors are from West Africa. You know what I mean? Focus on your culture. Why do people want to claim other people's culture? They were not there first. They were not in Egypt first, or maybe they were. Okay, Egypt, I will say yes, because North Africa as well, Morocco, Syria, all of that. Even Ethiopia, they were there first. But obviously, people migrated and take over. It's called colonization. Same thing happened in North America, right? The Europeans came over and took Native Americans' land. And guess what? Native Americans are not even indigenous. They migrated from East Asia. Okay, so they're not indigenous either.
Right. No, no, I agree. I mean, I agree with black people here in America having identity issues, and they want to be everything but West African, from Kemet, Hebrew Israelite, indigenous Mos. I do agree with that. But in that area, there was an early African presence or black presence in that area.
How so?
I mean, African people, black
Like
people.
how? But what evidence is there? Like just from the Bible that they say, oh, woolly hair people are there. Like that isn't. It's not evidence.
No, I mean there were African people there.
I mean, to be honest, they could have migrated there, but Jewish people who are in the Bible, who are known as Jewish people, are not black.
All right, so let me ask you this: the white Jews that are there now, do you think they are descendants from the original Jews?
Um, to be honest, I don't think so. To me, it's like at the end of the day, they are a part of the Caucasian race anyway. So does it really matter if they are from Europe or if they have migrated from? No, to me, they could be mixture of um, the original Jewish people who were just like Jesus, actual Jewish people, and they could be a mixture of. To to be honest, I don't even know. I don't think so. I have to research on that and give you facts. Like I don't want to say something that I don't know about. You know what I mean?
It's just, in my honest opinion, the white Jews we see today are not the original Jews. I'll go ahead and put that on record.
And then you think the original Jews are black,
Yes,
like in the Bible.
not it has nothing to do with the Bible. I believe the original
But
Jews.
the ones like, cause the only ones I know are from the Bible. Like that's the only Jewish I know is the Israeli Jewish. From uh, like that's all I know. Like, are you talking about? Are you talking about before even Jewish people? They were created or whatever. They were in terms of because you have to understand when people moved around after Africans left, right, out of East Africa. Like what is said in my DNA was that after 45,000 years later, that's when my ancestors started. Uh, what is that word I'm looking for? Um, that's when they started. I don't want to use the word created because that's not the word. um, I don't know what the word to use.
Let's see. We got everybody. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button. Okay, make sure you hit the like button as you come in. We have 225 people watching,
Okay.
only 50 likes. So make sure you hit that like button. Stop being stingy with these likes. Everybody that's super chatted, thank you so much for super chatting. I really appreciate it. Now, this is another issue I have with some Ethiopians, like I have with a lot of Africans. Okay, I feel as if you guys do a lot of unnecessary white butt kissing.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna tell you my story. I used to eat in LA, a place called Little Ethiopia, right?
Yeah.
On
Go ahead.
Fairfax.
You see. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the area?
No, I'm from Kitchener, Toronto, close to Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
But I want to go there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember like I would go in as a Black American, the way I was treated versus when white people showed up. Oh man, tap dancing shoes, clowning. I mean, grinning like hell, just extra laughs and grins and just raccooning.
That's so funny because you hear that from Asians too, right?
Why was that? Why was that? Why is it?
To be honest, just recently, my parents started. I guess not even my parents, my grandma mainly, who started accepting black men for me after I broke the ice with an Asian man. They're like, no, please, anybody else but an Asian man. So they don't see, I guess, black people as like from what I know since I was young. what they told me was don't date Jamaicans, whatever, because they're going to leave you with a child or whatever. They don't like their culture. And it's honestly so stupid and wrong for you to ever think a whole group is some person, or a whole group speaks for one person. Or sorry, one person speaks for a whole group. I think they probably think that way. It's I'm
how do
trying
they
to understand it. Go ahead.
now how do they feel about now you're trying to tell me this guy is Kurdish, but I think he's white. How do they feel about your white Kurdish boyfriend?
You know what's funny? I actually did a little research on their background, and they said that his DNA, they have found similar DNA as to Armenians and some Jewish people as well. And what else? It was some other Georgianian or something like that. Um, so that's an eye opener. I did not know. To me, Arab is a like. Okay, so when I did my DNA, this is what it said. This is what kind of really opened my eyes. Um, it said that when my ancestors migrated from Middle East, they went around to East Asia, East Asia, across Asia, let's just say, to Europe. Then they gave birth to the first generation of Europeans. So it's like, can we all just live as human beings? Why is there such a separation as a white to black in this? To me, Arabs basically have, they're the same. I don't see white people and Arab kind of different. I don't know, that's just me. And I told him actually.
So okay, so your DNA said you started in the Middle East, went to Asia, back to Europe, and back to the Middle East. That's what you
No,
said.
no. So Middle East through Asia, through
Mhm.
Europe. While they were Europe, they gave birth to a haplogroup called U5. You can actually search on that. My haplogroup was called U6. Um, so basically, it said while they were there, they gave birth to their sister haplogroup. A group gave birth to the first generation of Europeans, and then my ancestors kept going to North Africa. Basically, gave rise to the Berbers that are there, and then finally landed in East Africa. And from my research as well, that's what it says. And I'm happy that my DNA kind of proves what I have read or read.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about there's and see, and this is the thing. So, from my understanding, and this was done by this research was done either by the BBC or National Geographic. They're saying that the original Jews, okay, are in like it was like Zimbabwe, and that they migrated, they left Israel and went to Zimbabwe, and they speak the. In fact, let me hold on. Let me play this for you. Let me. I just thought about
Yes,
this. Hold on 1 second.
yes, please. Evidence. I like
I,
facts.
wa- I, want,
I
I,
like
want
facts.
you, I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this. I just thought about this. This just
Okay.
clicked in. Hold on 1 second.
I should have charged my phone a long time ago. I'm trying to charge it more right now. So it's stupid.
Hold on 1 second. I think this is it right here.
There's a little squirrel right there.
Black Africa.
Hold on. Let me
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time.
1 second. Let me share this screen. I want to share this real quick.
The Lamba tribe, the never lost tribe of Israel.
Hold on. Now this ain't no Hotep shit. This is from it's not real. For some reason, white folks don't validate it. So it was validated by some Jews, some white Jews.
I was reminded of my work 20 years before with a southern African tribe called Lemba. As far back as anybody could recall, the Lemba had claimed to be Jewish, effectively a lost tribe of Israel. Their oral tradition said they were led out of the Holy Land by priests at the time of the Babylonian invasion, and that they'd taken a sacred object they called Ngoma Ngundu with them. I believe that the Lemba and the Ngoma hold the key to understanding what happened to the Ark of the Covenant. When I first arrived in Africa in the late 1980s, I hadn't been searching for the Ark at all. I'd come here purely to investigate Lemba claims that their ancestors were Jews who'd once lived somewhere to the north in a place they knew as Senna. Today, the Lemba live either side of the Limpopo River in modern-day South Africa and Zimbabwe. When I first came here, there were still Lemba elders alive who would refer to their people as the white men who came from Senna. But at that time, it wasn't clear where Senna was. I hadn't seen my old friend Raulinga for many years. He's one of the guardians of Lemba traditions and was keen to remind me of the uniqueness of his people's culture.
We adore and worship Yahweh, the only one. We don't adore ancestral spirits. We don't worship idols of animals, trees, stones, the sun, the stars, or the moon, which Yahweh has made. Culture is the backbone. It's a unifying force.
Yeah.
Now, I know culture changes in accordance with time and place, but the root of culture remains the same. You see, now we have lost touch with our people for about 2,600 years now.
The Lemba were convinced that they were a lost tribe of Israel. The problem was that no one believed them. They appeared to be completely African. But I discovered a number of mysterious legends and customs that were very un-African. Men from other tribes were not allowed to marry into the Lemba. They refused to eat pigs and certain other creatures. They practiced the ritual slaughter of animals with a special knife. And they circumcised their male children at an early age. Many of today's Lemba are Christian, but blend elements of Judaism even into their services.
I'll lift up my eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help.
Hold on, I kind of want to skip to the part where I think the guy acknowledged that they were Jews. Hold on a second.
By the mid-1990s, I'd become convinced that the Lemba claim that they were of Jewish origin could be true. They'd preserved so many Jewish traditions.
Oh, let me rewind what he said.
Yes.
By the mid-1990s, I'd become convinced that the Lemba claim that they were of Jewish origin could be true. They'd preserved so many Jewish traditions for so long. But final proof only came when the science of genetics was applied to Lemba oral history, and geneticist Trevor Jenkins decided to examine the Y chromosome of Lemba males. His interest had been sparked by what he'd heard about Lemba culture.
The musicologist Margaret Nabarro told me the Lemba were of Jewish origin.
Uh-oh.
I think she said that their music showed some signs of Jewish influence.
Yes, she did. And so I went with her to a Lemba cultural festival and collected my samples there.
Astonishingly, Jenkins discovered that the Lemba were indeed of Semitic origin.
So these dark black Africans.
Sorry, this freaking squirrel about my backyard is like taunting me.
Okay. All right, so I need to.
Yeah.
Did you hear that part?
Okay, go back. Sorry, go back, please.
Some signs of Jewish influence.
Yes, she did. And so I went with her to a Lemba cultural festival and collected my samples there.
Astonishingly, Jenkins discovered that the Lemba were indeed of Semitic origin.
Okay, so the Lemba were indeed of Semitic origin.
Okay, and what did it say about their DNA? They found it in their DNA?
Hold on, let me see. The Y chromosome from the man.
Yes.
That's what they said. You didn't hear that part?
Okay. No, sorry, I was so distracted. I don't know. It was like, it was so scary. I hate animals,
Let
sorry.
me try to go back to it real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
Must have been sparked by what he'd heard.
Sorry about that.
The musicologist, Margaret Nabarro, told me the Lemba were of Jewish origin.
I think she said that their music showed some signs of Jewish
Yes,
influence.
yes, she did. And so I went with her to a Lemba cultural festival and collected my samples there.
Astonishingly, Jenkins discovered that the Lemba were indeed of Semitic origin. Subsequent research done by other geneticists showed that a significant proportion of Lemba men had a Y chromosome pattern known as the Cohen modal haplotype, which is characteristic of the Kohanim, the ancient Jewish priestly class.
Did you get that?
Yes, I did. That's so interesting. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So, okay.
They were effectively a lost Israelite tribe.
They're effectively a lost Israelite tribe.
It was a vindication. For the Lemba, we always knew that we're Jewish. Okay. But it was for those people on the outside that had said we're just making claims. You know, that here is proof that one cannot tamper with. These people are who they say they are.
What was even more surprising about the DNA research was that the Cohen genetic fingerprint was especially strong in one particular Lemba clan, as geneticist Himmler Sudjal explained.
The Lemba identified different clans, and one group that had it at a frequency in excess of 50% was the Buba.
According to Lemba oral tradition, the Bulba clan formed the priestly class and were responsible for leading the Lemba out of Israel.
So leading the Lemba out of Israel, these jet black Africans are jet black Semites. Is that right? Semites? Are they Semitic?
Yeah, but remember I said earlier to, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, because somebody was trying to call me, so I kind of I had to hang up. So remember I told you earlier, to me, even in scientific studies, skin color is so relevant, because when you look at people from India, how they're so dark, you know what I mean? There's so many different types of people around the world with such Cambodians. I've seen so many Cambodians in my school with dark skin, like crazy dark. And yes, it could be possible that they do. I mean, you showed me evidence and it is in their DNA, which I am so like, this is such a new, I learned something, you know what I mean, which I love. So yes, it was carried in mostly the men, right? So there could have been a migration from a certain group, or I guess certain men that migrated from Israel to West Africa and kind of populated with the rest. You know what I mean?
But what's crazy, the white Jews still won't accept the Lemba. Why is that if it's not about race?
Honestly, like, it's kind of like, okay, they could be a person with a certain percentage from my people, right? Just like the Oromo people, they have our DNA, they have Somali DNA, and they also have West African DNA, Bantu, right? So I don't know if they want to ever claim being us, and I don't know if a lot of people would like that. It's like, I don't think a lot of Habesha people would even, they're actually in protest right now. Huge protest between those two people. So I can understand, it's such a human characteristic to not want people, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's not surprising to me.
Okay, but just still this idea that Semites can't be black, when I mean the original Semite. Okay, at the end of the day, life. I mean, just if you want to go back, everything.
Maybe they're yeah.
Started in Africa and then they migrated from there. Like I have to find another piece, right, where it showed how the original Arabs were black. And this is from like National Geographic, BBC, not some black guy on a corner of 125th or Harlem in New York. Like, this is from BBC, like pretty much how Africans left Africa, went to the Middle East, and then over time. In fact, you know what? Hold on, let me find it. This is in regards to Iran and Persia. Hold on, let me
look it up. Yeah.
Hold on one second. I can find it. Damn, where is it? This might be it right here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm gonna let the ad play, but pretty much showing how the Persians or the Iranians that are there today aren't the original Persians. There was black people of African origin that were there. Hold on, let me.
Oh, sorry.
Well, what happened?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I don't know, where's your camera? I don't know what's going on. I think I
I gotta
accidentally.
try to find this. Hold on one second. I'll find it.
Sorry about that. I don't know.
No problem. I'll find it another day and probably send it to you because it's a lot that I'll be going through. Let's see here.
There you are. Found myself.
You say you can't find yourself?
Yeah. Can you see me? Because I can see you.
Yeah, I see you.
Okay, good. Yeah. So what are you saying? They were
Yeah.
the first.
Yeah. So basically, the same thing as far as the original Semites, the original Persians before the Persians that we know today, Iranians we know today, were originally black. And again, migration, they were forced out of Persia or mixed in or what.
Honestly, that could be possible. To be honest, I'm not even gonna.
Basically, what I'm saying is all that Middle East Semite, Semitics, they were all black, and the original ones were black.
Okay, just like Sudan. Okay.
Right.
Have you
Right.
of course you know Sudan.
Yeah.
You've seen the South Sudanese, right?
Well, the South Sudanese are the real, the Nubians, the real.
Yeah, and have you
Sudanese.
seen the north ones?
The North ones
They
are
look
mixed.
like they look like Habesha people.
Yeah, they're
right?
mixed. They're mixed.
Yeah, well, not really. They're the same as us. Migration into their taking over. They basically pushed the real Sudanese people from North Africa into South Africa, and almost instinctive, literally got rid of the whole population. That's why there's so many of them here, especially where I live. There's a lot of Sudanese people. So yes, that could be possible that they were in that land first, but I definitely wouldn't say they are the people right now.
Right, exactly.
I
That's
wouldn't say they're
right.
us or my ancestors that were there, because it's a whole, yeah. So I could understand that they were their original, then they probably got pushed out of that land, like you said.
Yeah, I wish I could find this video on Persia, man. Like
I'm gonna
see
into that stuff.
what happens. I'm a nerd, so I kind of just watch documentaries here and there and stuff.
Me too. 110%. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I would call me a nerd. I would like to call me. I'd like to educate myself. That's it.
Yeah, so I found the one on of course I found the one on the Limba, and I was like, that's interesting. Then I found one on Iran, the Persians, where the original Persians were black before the pretty much the same people that we see today weren't even there.
It's colonization. So
Right.
like I think people have to understand the whole idea of back in the day. There was so much migration, especially thousands of years ago. People are not where they are right now. Just look at Native Americans, like how they migrated into North America, and South America. So it's a lot of migration. So yes, they could have been the first, but they probably moved out of there thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? To me, yes, Africa was probably, even before they started grouping continents, Habesha, even Ethiopia is a modern day name. Before we were called Abyssinians. So I'm talking about the Habesha people. So even before then, our kings, they ruled Saudi Arabia, ruled Yemen. They basically had lands upon lands. They had Somalia and all these lands. So before Europeans even started, creating continents, basically. So people were everywhere. They were migrating and going back and forth. So of course, I could definitely agree with you with that. So,
okay. Let's see what questions we got in the chat room. Somebody says the Habesha are not. Well, he probably came in late. Habesha are not the original people of Ethiopia. The Afar are.
Afar?
Yeah.
Afar, yeah. Afar are also, I would say more Kunama, not Afar, because Afar, even people they have their own migration. They're not like us, but they have their own migration of how they got here. So, do you want to research on actually quick Google on Rashida people? The Rashida people were the last people to migrate from Saudi Arabia into Eritrea. They're the last tribe, basically. They migrated in 1840 something. They were the last people to migrate. So even with Afar people, they have Middle Eastern, but from different areas, not really from. I think so. I think it. my grandma.
Oh, tell your grandma tell grandma I say hello. She want to hop in? Does she want to hop in? Does
Sorry.
That said that was your grandma?
I don't know why I can't hear you. Sorry.
You said that was your grandma?
Yeah, that was my grandma.
Ask her, she want to come on the show? Tell her to come on the show. Does she want to come on?
Sorry.
Does she want to come on?
She doesn't speak English though.
Oh, she doesn't? Okay.
Oh no.
Why not?
She'll say hi. She can say hi if you want.
All right, let's see your grandma. Let's see your grandma. Let's see her.
I don't know why. It's like I think because when I was getting calls, it ruined my the voice thing.
I was saying, let's say hello to your grandma. Let's say hello. Can we say hello?
Yeah, you want to say hi?
Yeah, say hi.
Thank you. نعزي. ما كان بنحترم معنا. نعم. حارسب سلام كتب لي. حارسب. بزعبات تمرتين زاربا لناس في ناس كي جراما استخري على سلام كبلايلو.
Hello. Now your grandma looks black.
Come, grandma.
Your grandma looks black. Your grandma looks black. Tell her. Ask your grandma that she identify as black. Ask her. Ask her.
سلام دي خدت لنا صحيح. سلام تبلن صحيح. لما صحيح. صحيح. سلام تبلن إيوه. سلام تسكي أنا هم تبي ولا شافني. هذا شام ده ولا هذا شام سلام تنتهي بالموضوع. هو كم ساعة مش؟ ولا أنا حدا مش؟ She says I identify as a human being.
Oh God, here we okay. All right, grandma.
She's like,
okay,
are we all the same?
Okay. All right, grandma.
Yeah, they don't like. I don't know. I don't. It's like I guess back home they don't talk about it like that. I don't know. I'm happy that she thinks that way. To me, at the end, I'm happy that we're all the same. Can you imagine we were like some different types of aliens? It'd be crazy.
Okay.
But
well, see what else we got in the chat room. So, I mean, is there a lot of self-hate and racism in the I would say the mixed Ethiopian community because I get about 20 different answers from every Ethiopian. So like what's going on with the Ethiopian community outside of the original Ethiopians on Omo Valley? Like what's going on? Like what's the issue with Ethiopians? Like, Ethiopians so inclusive. I feel like they're very inclusive, but for some reason, when white Brad from Europe comes around, he gets accepted. Why is that?
I would say, okay, so I'm gonna put on my headphone because I can't really hear you.
Okay, so the guy
I'm like, huh?
The guy I did the video with, Funny Habishan. He's in the chat room. The video that you were talking about.
Yes.
He's in the chat room.
Okay, nice. Is he listening?
Yeah, he's listening. So
okay, oh, salam. كمان لخير. I'll be back. You have to say hi. Oh, I'm supposed to be grocery shopping right now. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna put my headphone on. I can probably hear you. Sorry about that. I was definitely not prepared.
All right, no problem. Go ahead and put your headphones on.
Headphone stangles. Headphones can go worse than hair. Okay. Wow. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
literally
go ahead. You're fine.
okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna use something else. I have other headphones, I guess. I don't want to look like this though. Okay. Weirdo. Wow.
Can you hear me?
All right, can you hear me?
I hear
Yes, I can. Clearly.
All right, perfect. I'm trying to think. Yeah, fun. So Funny Habishan is in the chat room. What's up, Funny Habishan? Now, Funny Habishan identifies as black.
He identifies or doesn't?
He does. I think he does. Ain't that right, Funny Habishan? Am I right? Press 1, Funny Habishan, if you identify as black.
Is that the same guy that was talking to you?
Yeah. He said I did it a while back. Oh, you don't identify as black anymore, Funny Habishan? So I guess he
changed his mind?
yeah, I think he changed his mind.
Oh, I see.
Oh, how do you feel about, are you familiar with Tiffany Haddish?
Yes, actually, I was so surprised. Hold on. I'm surprised when she. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you yeah, see, Fanny Abishan identifies as black. Now, how do you feel about how does the Ethiopian community feel about Tiffany Haddish?
I think they're proud. I'm happy there's no prejudice, nothing. You know, they're obviously moving on from the whole mixing thing, because in my culture we don't mix often. So
Okay,
you're seeing that a lot.
and I want to cover that, the whole we don't mix often. Now, what I noticed, you know, I would say, when it comes to white Dave from Britain, or the Kurdish Dave, or white Dave from Britain, when he shows up on the scene, all of a sudden culture has no love has no color. Our culture is open. We are very accepting. But my black ass, we don't mix. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I think she froze up. I think we lost her. Yeah, I think we lost her, you guys. All right, what we'll do, we'll chill out.
What happened?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
froze. Okay. Did you hear my question?
Oh, I was stuck this whole time.
Yeah, it was stuck. Did you hear my question?
I think you were saying something about Tiffany Haddish. How do we feel about her?
Well, about that, then you said you guys don't mix, but I noticed
Mix often, yes.
But I noticed that when white Dave comes around from Britain, or white Brad from America comes around, mixing is acceptable. You know, love has no color. We are happy that white Dave accepts our culture, but then my black ass, we don't mix. Why is that?
Honestly, I don't think it's like that. I think it's more certain cultures you feel connected to, I guess. Just like how Kurdish. Remember, I think you were asking about how do my parents feel about my Kurdish boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They feel a little bit more, I guess, connected to him than the Asian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have similar culture in terms of
the white Kurdish guy.
Oh God, are there black Kurdish?
No, go. I'll you know what? I'm gonna research that, but go ahead.
Yes. So okay. So no, just culturally we feel similar because my grandma dresses the way she looks, her mom dresses like that. Our culture is pretty similar. When I was back home in Eritrea, there were a lot of Korean. Ethiopia actually helped Korea with World War II. So in Eritrea, there were a lot of Koreans also building buildings and stuff for. Anyways, there were some mixed Eritrean and some Koreans as well. And I seen a few kids, and I saw it. I don't see it often. I saw it then. But my grandma, she doesn't like Asians because back home they found a few dog bones or something. This is her story, and they found out that the Koreans ate it, so that's why they have this thing with Asians. I could not see my grandma eating with their family. They were like, I don't want no Asian eyes. I don't want no Asian like I don't want dog food in my food and stuff. So it's like this is the mentality they have. You know what I mean? They will not sit there with them. That's how much they don't like their culture. You know what I mean? So it's more of a culture, I think, than the people. It also could be the people, but I think it's more the culture to me. Because if they, I guess to them, they didn't eat dogs or cats, that they would be okay. Um, so when they see a lot of black people, they see the culture and they don't like it. So they don't want to be associated with it. They don't want to, and yeah, so that's I don't know. That's really my explanation from what I've heard. Because even on my Asian's ex side, his parents actually, when they found out that I was African, he never showed them a picture or anything at the beginning. They no, at the beginning he didn't show them my pictures. So like he just told them that I'm dating a girl from Africa, right? They asked him where I'm from, and he said Africa, and then he said Eritrea, and then they asked him, do we live in huts? And then I was like, really? They're so educated. How do they think we live in huts? But then basically his grandma told him, I don't want no black girl. I don't like the way black people look, blah 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 blah. Same thing as my grandma said, she doesn't like the way Asians look and stuff like that. So when they saw my picture though, they said, oh, she no black, blah 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 blah. They accepted me because to them I guess I didn't look like a black person
Okay.
from Africa or whatever. So I was accepted from from their side. My side didn't accept it at all. And yeah, so it's just certain people don't like cultures. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of Ethiopians be cooning. How do you feel about that? Is that a fair?
Cooning cooning is what? Like cooning is like
Just tap dancing, just I noticed
I
it was
don't
some
think
Nigerian.
so.
When white people come around, oh my God, they just turn into, uh,
I don't know,
you
maybe
know.
because like I've never seen my parents act a certain way around white people. I think they're very welcoming. I think people they're
Okay,
usually
here we go.
welcoming
Here we
to a
go.
lot of
You
people.
just said something. They're way more welcoming to white people than they are anybody else.
And I said they're welcoming. I know I said more. They're just welcoming in general. If they're looking side eye to you, I feel like they probably have some personal feelings towards,
Nah, but this is
I guess,
black
black
people.
people.
Ethiopians, they just, yeah, they. I know a couple cool Ethiopians, but for the most part,
I don't know. I don't see that because to me,
Ethiopians are Somalians. It's Somalians.
oh,
Golly.
and don't forget that. Um, we don't have that mentality where we feel like they're on top of us because we've never really been colonized. Actually, what am I saying? Really, we've never been colonized. We've had a lot of European help, even though Italy was trying to take over for 60 years. So they have this good connection with Europeans or British people in actuality. So I think maybe they just have, I don't know, they feel connected in a way, but I don't think it has to do with oh, you're black. That's the reason why I don't. But that's weird. I don't know. I don't see it anywhere. This is the first time you're saying. Um, I can say that there is racism in our community. 110% there's racism.
You just asked? You just answered my question. Just prove me right.
Well, I mean, yes, there is racism for sure. Like, but actually, I don't even like the word racism because to me, racism really doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
It's more of a made up
Uh,
word.
uh,
I don't know. I feel like it's
Helen,
such a made up word.
You got them tap. You got the you pulled out them Haile Selassie tap shoes.
Oh,
You
that's so
pulled out
funny.
the tap shoes
No,
at the closet.
no, I just feel like there's just a difference between wrong and right. If somebody is thinking that oh, I'm not gonna treat you right because you're black. You're wrong. That's such a fucked up way to think. Not really racism. It's more stupid than racism to me. You know, they're just fucked up. That's it. I don't know.
Okay.
I believe in wrong or right. That's it.
Okay.
Just different
But Helen,
opinions, I guess.
it's all good. It's all good. But I feel like you definitely put them tap shoes on.
What? I don't think so.
You put on you, Helen.
Definitely
You put
not.
on
I
them tap
don't.
shoes. You
But
dancing.
how?
You
In terms of what?
You got them Ethiopian Habesha specials.
How though? What did I say for you to think that way?
Racism doesn't exist. That's what the white supremacists be saying.
No. I think they would probably like racism to exist. The white
No, well,
supremacists. I
they
think human
deflect.
beings.
When they deflect. That's what they say. When they deflect.
I don't know. I think human beings in general just would want to just live their lives and not. Racism only became relevant what 20 30, 40 years ago. So it's just such a made up word to kind of describe how people feel because they feel like, oh, it has to do with my skin color.
All right.
It definitely has to do with my skin. Come on,
Right.
man. Like, no, they just don't like you. That's it.
Right.
They just don't like you. How can they? What if they just don't like you? What does that have to do with your skin color? Is it wrong for somebody to not?
They're very specific because they made up laws and rules to marginalize people who were black. It was specifically targeted for people because of their skin color. That's why it's called racism. Do you understand Jim Crow? Are you familiar with Jim Crow?
Yes, I am. I am with the whites only, blacks only.
Yeah.
School
So
black
you
people
think,
couldn't go to. Oh no!
you there? Something happened? What happened? What happened? Where'd she go? Yeah, what happened? All right, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and I don't know, hopefully she's okay, but we'll go ahead and close out. Make sure you go to search for Huru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, Africa Personified on those same platforms. I don't know what happened to sister. Something happened to her. Hopefully she's okay. But anyways, you guys, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Till next time, Dinah Samir, search for Huru. Peace.